I like that you were like, I thought I was.
I'd like to call the Thursday, October 6th, Forest Lake Area School Board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our clerk, would you please take roll call?
Yes, Member Corcoran?
Here.
Member Kiddo?
Here.
Member Landstrom is absent. Member Luther is absent. Member Peterson?
Present.
Member Rayfield?
Present.
And Member Tyson's here.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved. Scheduled and unscheduled visitors, listening session. We had 3 visitors, but no topics. So we had some great conversations with some folks from the community though. They were all to listen. We will move on. Student achievement, student report. I don't believe the students were able to make it in tonight. So we will move to the Forest Lake Area Middle School report from Principal Miller.
Thank you, Chair Peterson, Dr. Massey, and members of the board. Thank you for having me here this evening to give you an update, provide you an update about the middle school, specifically, I think, our start to the school year. And I'll wait for that presentation to come up here in just a second. And again, I think share with you about some of our updates regarding progress that we've made just already at the start of the year, as well as some updates regarding our course of study and the implementation of our new 7th grade Gateway Experiences and some examples of great learning that's already taking place. And I know you're going to hear more this evening from JP and about the new courses for next year. So there we go. Awesome. There we go. This year, we began the school year, and actually a lot of the planning took place already last spring with members of our leadership team, and then specifically spending a great deal of time this summer to really for us to focus in on, and to really kind of that reset of focusing on our core mission around teaching and learning and what that looks like here at Forest Lake Area Middle School. When we use these taglines, when we talk about our learning statement, that we exist to create experiences for our students that inspire learning. That's what we truly mean. We get there really through 3 core pillars that we stressed with our community and our teachers this year in the planning for the start of our school year, which is around creating strong student connectedness, systems of personalization, and collective efficacy of our staff to really do amazing things for our kids and our students at the middle school. And so with that, we spent a lot of time around this concept of a culture of learning. What does that mean at the middle school? For us, it's really about bringing life to our strategic plan, to our learning statement, to finding ways within all of our classes, within our teams and our PLCs, to really make that and to live that each and every day for our students. And so for us, at the beginning of the year, during our workshop week, beginning during that planning period, working with our teachers, our building leadership team, we began to really dig into our learning statement to really begin to identify what those core goal areas are going to be for us this year. And there are really 2. One is looking at our learning statement, looking at those different components. I'm going to bounce back just a quick second around what does it mean to collaborate effectively? What does it mean to ask questions? What does it mean to think critically or connect and apply your skills? So what does that mean in our classes across all content areas? And then for our staff and for our teams and for our PLCs to ask that question and to begin to make those individual and team level commitments. What do your practices look like when we successfully achieve this in this particular area? What does that look like in an English classroom when students are effectively collaborating with one another? What does that mean, and how? And again, what are the practices we need to put into place to make sure that that happens for our students? What specific steps will you and your team take? What are those commitments to make progress towards these particular areas of focus? And so for us, again, there were two key pillars or two key goal areas that we have for this year. And one of those was really to bring life to our learning statement. The other is our continued focus on literacy and literacy strategies and reading skills for all of our students across all of our different content areas. Part of this is that we're really approaching our work and the support that we need to think about across all of our systems as we use this language around tiered systems of support. So tier 1 or tier 2, is this an area that we want to focus where tier 1 is across all of our students versus a tier 2 system of intervention or tier 3 where you're targeted towards a smaller population? We see this work is really happening for all of our students across all different content areas, where our PLCs and our departments working through, again, when we think of those three pillars of collective efficacy, personalization, and strong student connectedness, that idea of the collective efficacy of our teams to really do this key work and the commitments that they made. We're really excited that working with our teaching and learning department, Katie Lorenz, JP Jacobson, and the rest of the teaching and learning team, we're going to be facilitating our first data retreats at the middle level starting next week. In both reading and in math. And so that's a really exciting first step for us to begin to, again, as we think across our sort of that tier 1 support for all of our students, to really begin to identify and address areas of need and what we can do instructionally for all of our students to, again, I think, support all of the learning and our key goals. So that's going to be starting next week, and we're really excited about that first step and that first initiative and the support that teaching and learning has provided us. We have wonderful experts in that team that are going to help us move that along the way. In addition to the work that we're doing with our data retreats, each team and each department across our building has begun to identify key success indicators. So when we go back to those learning targets, when we go back to our learning statement, when we focus on those universal literacy strategies, what does that look like within each department? So for each English teacher or math or science, social studies, for industrial tech or FACS teachers, what does success look like in their classroom? Aligning that with some of those key building-wide strategies. And then again, being able to measure that success and set our professional learning plan for the year aligned to those particular sets of needs. So in addition to that work that we did around identifying our goals and our key focus areas, we also knew that we needed to take time to really build this year a strong foundation of connectedness and positive relationships amongst the community at the middle school. That was a critical step for us this year to make sure that we had that in place, because we know that when students feel connected, when they have those strong connections and relationships, they're more likely to feel academically successful. And so when we think about the different needs for us to be able to attain those higher levels around critical thinking, to really take on challenging and rigorous experiences, students need to feel that they have positive connections with their teachers, relationships with others, to be able to take on those rigorous experiences in a math class or in a science classroom or in social studies and across all those different areas. And so for us, it was really taking the time to be purposeful in our work, in our planning this year as we started to think about that first week of school and those first few weeks of school to help kind of reinvigorate our school community at the middle school. There were three, if we kind of break down sort of our work at the beginning of the school year, there were really kind of three core components of this work, starting in the middle with our PBIS team, our Positive Behavior and Intervention Systems team. We have, I think, probably the strongest PBIS team that across, honestly, any system that I have been a part of or that I'm aware of. We have an amazing set of educators, and this truly is collective efficacy in practice, where we take a team of teachers, they know together that doing this hard work, they're going to make an impact on our students and on our school community as a whole, and put plans in place to be able to address that. So that key piece has been really, really critically important. Part of that was designing our We Are Rangers week. This was our week back, inviting our students, our new 7th grade students and families, as well as our returning 8th grade students and families to the middle school, to help, again, onboard those students to our practices around what does it mean to be a middle school student in Forest Lake, what are the expectations, what are the things that they need to know to be successful. And again, for us, it was really about being clear and precise with our students around setting very high expectations and standards for not only academic performance, but also, again, how we interact and who we are as middle school students. And so taking time through our Where Everyone Belongs program, our web team, we have 3 wonderful web leaders who help facilitate that onboarding process for our students, our 7th graders, and our wonderful 8th grade student leaders who actually really do a lot of that work on the actual web day, our first transition day, we like to call it. And then throughout each of the different days of the week, that was really being planned around helping students to make those connections to our school community. And that's why, again, you'll see that line across the top, connection through content. It was really important for us to make sure that the start of the school year was about setting those high expectations, but not taking time to just, because we've been there, sitting in a classroom on the first day of school and saying, our children come home, how was the first day? Well, we went over a lot of rules, a lot of expectation. We went over the syllabus, and to me, it's more than that. It's really around building those connections, setting those expectations through content. Let's get our kids excited about the things they're going to get to do and learn in each of our classes, and that's how we build that community, as well as setting those expectations for our learners at the middle school and across all of our content areas. And then in addition to that, we did spend some time at the beginning of the year with our students as well as our staff, investing in training around Circle and how that technique, that strategy really is a great way to help build this community. So it's the active practice of engaging everyone within that space around what we're working towards and helping our staff understand that, and then working with our students to modeling that throughout the first week and then also through our advisory program. The other thing that's been really exciting around the use of the Circle training this year has been to see teachers identify how that technique, that strategy can be used as an instructional method in their classrooms to help make sure every student's engaged. Every student has an opportunity to participate, have their voice be heard in discussion, in listening to one another, and again, communicating and collaborating. We talk about what effective collaboration looks like. This is a great way to be able to open that up and have that feel balanced across the entire class. So as a teacher's using that in a let's say an English classroom to discuss a novel, again, a great instructional strategy that we're using, and then build some capacity for our students and teachers to use that in other ways too, when maybe there's other topics that we want to be able to work through and discuss with our students. So again, really exciting work on doing that and being able to create that space for our kids to be really engaged in their core learning. And I think it's paid off. I mean, the start of the school year, I think it goes without saying. I know I feel this, and our teachers have reported the same, and seeing the positive smiles and faces in our hallways from our students, we've had a really good start to the school year. Just as that data point of reference, at this point last year, there were 115 office referrals that had been made at the middle school. This year, 37. And to put that a bit in context, the fall of 2018, which we know what happened in the spring of 2019, the fall of 2018, we were at 47 at this time of the year. So when we start to think about the purposeful practices that the team at the middle school had in place to start this school year, to be able to, again, build a community, build a positive relationship so we can focus on our core mission, it really is starting to show a lot of positive impacts. And so again, really an exciting measure for us. And that brings us to, I think, some of the other exciting learning that has happened this year. I know in just a little bit you're going to hear quite a bit more around the new proposals for 8th grade and our course of study that we're designing. But this year is our first year of implementation with our 7th grade gateway experience, as well as some of our new courses for all of our 7th grade students to participate in. And I know you know much about this process already, but it's been very exciting as the building principal, as well as just part of the community, to see the learning that's taking place for our students in each and every one of these classrooms. The buzz, the conversations that happen amongst our students about what they get to do and the learning that's taking place. In media arts, as I talked with some of our students and teachers, the excitement just around the technology. You know, this is a class where students are engaging in art in a new medium than what they're traditionally used to doing. So the conversation around engaging with the iPads, designing art through Adobe, through different technologies and tools, and how excited they are. The teacher said, it's amazing. They're just so naturally engaged. They're so inquisitive. They want to keep doing more and more with the tools and the devices in the classroom. And also just thinking about the engagement with some of our other design tools. Are we taking some of the art that's being designed through our new devices in that space, and being able to have kids move to making and creating and designing solutions to new problems. Because that to us is what it's really all about. It's really about taking learning and moving it away from something that feels very consumer-based, where I'm a passive participant in the process, where I'm being sort of fed information, versus being somebody who's designing, who's creating, who's making. Those are the things we want you to ask your children when they come home, not what they did today, but what they got to make today, what they designed, what they created. When we think about and explore industrial technology, again, a class that every single one of our students is taking, a great example of connection and content, or ways that, in this case, Mr. Letko is using his tools, the laser engraver, exciting kids with the tools and technology and the design methodology that takes place through design thinking. At the same time, they're building those basic skills that we want them to have. How do we measure? How do we measure in a three-dimensional space? How do we use that type of software to create and design something to solve a particular problem? And in a lot of ways, it's creating those personalized opportunities for kids, something that they can create that means something deeply to them, and take that with them as they move through the year. And finally, our last gateway experience for our students in 7th grade is our Adventures in Global Agriculture. And again, just an exciting course for our students to really begin to experience the kinds of career connections. In case already this year, they've been focused on animal science. It's hard to tell, but looking through, for example, a chicken egg and kind of studying like what's that process and how does that look in an agricultural industry, understanding animal science, and as well as, again, just I think those connections to that world of work in those settings. And so in all of these courses, the kinds of learning that's taking place is really kind of the culmination of a tremendous amount of energy and effort that's been put in by our staff. I want to give a quick shout out to two people standing behind me, Becky Haven and Kim Weiss, who have been rock stars, to say the least, in helping our staff to design and create these courses for our students. What students get to experience every day at the middle school is just really a phenomenal opportunity. It's something that is truly rare in middle schools here in Minnesota. So something very, very special, and a big shout out to both of them, because they've done a tremendous amount of work. And again, like I said, finally, in a moment, we're sort of in that moment of transition to continue to develop the work around our gateway experiences in 8th grade, as well as our elective opportunities for students. You'll hear a lot more about those here in just a few moments from JP. And so again, I want to thank you for allowing me just a few moments of your time this evening to share some updates with the middle school. We are, I think, really having a wonderful start to the year, and not only, again, with where students are with connections and community, but really have set in place, I think, some wonderful strategies and goals to really target our areas of need around literacy, and also our work around our learning statement. So thank you, and if there are any questions or any comments, I welcome these.
So, you talk a lot about the student connectedness and how that's going to lead to, academically getting the kids where we want to be. How do you intercede when a child is not getting connected like they should? And yeah, I guess that's my question.
No, it's a great question. We know that we work with middle school students, and we have wonderful kids at the middle school. And just as we know, sometimes some kids can struggle. They can struggle for different reasons. What we are working to continue to enhance and develop is our response to that. Because for each kid, that response maybe looks different. But for us, it's really beginning to use the data that we have around possibly attendance, performance in class, maybe an office referral, something that might have happened where maybe a particular choice was made. A number of different factors being used to identify those students that are most at risk for continued challenges or for continued behavior. We're fortunate that we have a behavior intervention specialist at the middle school. That's been a wonderful addition to our staff, and as a result, she's able to work closely with our counselors, with our assistant principal, Mr. Van Hefty, as well, to be able to identify through a diagnostic tool what's the need, and then align that particular need to the kinds of interventions that she's going to implement with that particular student to try to address what that concern is. It's the same set of strategies, the same framework that we are continuing to try to through our data retreats, hoping to develop further for our English, our reading and literacy needs, as well as math as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So Jason, thank you for your leadership. I can tell that you like live and breathe this. I mean, it's got to trickle down and be exciting. Can I circle back for a second? You talked about the data retreat.
Yep.
What was the data that teachers would be bringing to that? Like their data from their individual courses, classes that they teach?
So what in our data retreat, the model that we are beginning to develop, and so this sort of came about because we began to sort of look again where sort of our levels of performance are at in some of our different areas, math and literacy, for example, and finding what are the best ways that we can start to begin to address that again as kind of a tier one or across our entire system, and to be able to do that. The initial step, the first stage of the data retreat, is really around looking at the data from a high, like a 10,000 foot level of that data, being able to look at our MCA results, drilling down into benchmark reports, correct, as well as our fall fast data, and beginning to identify really that core alignment question with benchmarks and standards and areas that we need to start thinking about as a team or a PLC or department early in the school year. What areas should we be focusing on? Should we be adjusting our instruction around for the course of that school year? Within that process and over the next few weeks and months, we'll continue to have those discussions where now we'll begin to drill down further around using common summative assessments and formative assessments. Part of our PLC process is sort of that plan, do, study, act, and responding to student learning, those that learned and those that didn't, and being able to create responses embedded within the course itself. And so it's sort of an opportunity to begin to sort of set those broader goals early on around targeted need, and then begin to drill down throughout the year. And I look at this as a practice that we want to continue to embed this year, into next year, into the years to come. Every year we'll do this, we'll get better at it, we'll be more precise, and I think we'll start to see a lot of positive improvement.
That is just excellent. I think when teachers can look at data together and take a deep dive, again, and beginning right off in the first weeks or months of school, it's just got to have benefits that pay off in the long run during that school year.
And we have some amazing people on our team to help us do that, like Katie Lorenz. There's been work that's happened at the elementaries already around data conversations in some very similar models for the last year to two. That is starting, I think, will really inform what that can look like at the middle level, because it is different at the middle level as versus our elementaries, and how those responses will maybe play out in instruction and intervention. But again, I think it's a really exciting step. It's I think a big move for us.
I just want to add that I think that you're being very intentional about building that community and relationship right in the beginning of the school year. And I think that's just going to pay off throughout the school year too. I think kids just get that sense of security in their building with their staff, their friends. They're actually learning names, and like I saw on Instagram, and that's just excellent. And I think we forget that we are a district-wide PBIS. So it was nice hearing you talk about the focus that it is a strong group, and we have that in place, and they're off to a great start as well. The other thing I had a question about was the circle training. Is that something that all staff are going to have access to, or use if they need it, or how is that going to play out?
So there's quite a bit of research around using the circle. I'll call it a technique as a way to engage students in discussion. And the aha for me was really around how to use, that we can use that strategy instructionally. For me, that was where I began to see those that connection, and then how we can build capacity for students and staff to apply it in other contexts as well. The amazing thing about it is when you have that physical space, it gives every student an opportunity to engage around the content equally. There are examples of this, Socratic seminars that are often been used within, say, our English department or social studies department for a number of years. And this is a way, I think, for other content areas as well along with our advisors and other programs, to use this to, again, build community, build relationships and trust, but also I think to be able to do that in a way that allows students to access really challenging curriculum and really challenging content, which is, again, what we are really all about.
Well, thank you for all your work, and thank you, staff. And I hear awesome feedback from parents that I know about the Gateway courses. They're like, my student is learning the funnest stuff and really exciting stuff. So I think it is 21st century courses, and we're offering a world-class education from the top down. So I thank everyone from me.
I will.
I was just gonna say, just seeing the kids back in the classroom and having that camaraderie is powerful. And middle school is a definitely hard time for young kids. I mean, it's merging in from the other elementaries, learning everybody and the new rules and just the kids, and it is a really complicated, hard time for them. So just to see this techniques you're using is wonderful. And it's just nice to see them without masks in the classroom, just having that great experience. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, and it really has been a great story. We have students for 2 years coming to us from a number of elementaries, and so for us, it's really important to be purposeful early on to build that community. So students in classes with other students that they don't know, they maybe never interacted with before, how do you create space for kids to feel that they can take challenges and risks around content, around learning, around just building new friendships? It's a tall order, but it's an exciting opportunity for our staff and for our team.
Thank you so much.
I can't help but reflect back. I have 3 children that grew up in this area. I mean, we moved here some 30 years ago, and they all went to Central Junior High. And so I look at that experience, and then I compare it to everything you talked about tonight and what we're doing in the school now. And I can't help but feel regret that my children were not able to attend that school. My youngest actually went to the middle school, or he went to high school the day we opened the new middle school. So it's just a fine job you're doing. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed, and I'm really grateful for where the community has gone from where it was back then.
Well, I think it's notable, back to way in the beginning of the presentation with the referrals, and while I think last year's statistic was unfair in that we brought those kids back from a year and a half at home, and that was pure chaos, but comparing it to the 2018 statistic is very relevant to see a decrease from there. It's very nice to see. So, and a significant, on a percentage basis, that's a significant.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of factors at play. One, I think there's a degree of this society beginning to kind of maybe renorm a bit coming out of everything that's happened. But I do also give a tremendous amount of credit to our staff and to our plan put in place, because I think without that and the work that was done to kind of front load everything for that first week and even prior, I don't know if we'd be exactly in the same place. So it's again, a big shout out to our middle school staff for what they did.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, we'll move on to positive happenings. Anyone? Reporter?
I'm just gonna talk about football. Right at the top here.
Whoever goes first.
Yeah, I get to talk about football.
Everybody has
Ranger football, 5-0, one homecoming again, awesome. They're playing Stillwater tomorrow night. They're going 5-0, so it's gonna be quite the competition tomorrow night. And every time I go there, I'm just always thankful for a beautiful stadium that we took years for us to get it done, and it is fabulous. And everything that comes here must just be very envious that they have such a beautiful field now. So, but I want to thank the support of the community and having that happen, because that it's truly raised your pride having this debut. And exciting time for our teams and for our student athletes across the board, but great time for all the community to come and see that. So I want to thank them for that. And that's it.
Member Kiddo?
Member Kiddo.
Thank you, Member President. I have a couple things. Our STEP program, I want to just inform the community. I think a lot of us know this already, but maybe the community hasn't heard all of this. But our STEP programs, Community Closet, is accepting donations of gently used clothing and footwear at door 7 between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday at the Central Learning Center. Secondly, Career Exploration Day was just announced, I think, today at Forest Lake Area High School. It will be on Thursday, November 11th. From 8:15 to 9:15, and they're looking for people that are interested in sharing career information with students at the high school. I've done it now for 2 years, and it's a great experience. If you haven't done it and you're in business, I would highly recommend that you come over and talk to the kids about it. And they're wide open to whatever you say. So I mean, it's a great opportunity. So don't miss it. Again, Thursday, November 11th. Educator Business Mixer is scheduled for Monday, November 7th, from 7:30 to 9 a.m. There's a chance to connect with educators for people in business to better understand post-secondary career, college preparation at Forest Lake Area High School. Bridgeworks has agreed to partner with the high school to provide a message of understanding Gen Z, building bridges to the future. And you need to RSVP by October 31st to the high school if you plan to attend, but that's another great one. Great connection with the high school. And last but hardly least, I have to say that I voted today at the Washington County License Center in Forest Lake where I live, which is by the library. Early voting is now open. You can go and vote anytime. So don't wait. Go and vote. Skip the long lines at your polling place. Vote now. I voted for the mayor of the city. I voted for 2 council positions. I voted for 3 people for the school board. And all of that, I truly believe are people who will make this city a better place and continue to grow Forest Lake and the Forest Lake School District, moving very positively into the future. So I encourage you to get out and vote. Thank you. And I'm done.
Member Kiddo? Member Tyson?
I just want to quickly mention homecoming because I got to pass these out, which was so fun. It is fun. It's all color, and there's just great pictures of our team. I'll pass it around if anybody wants to read the head coach's bio. That was very impressive, and his staff. But anyway, it's always fun for me, and I love passing out programs at homecoming because I see people and I meet people from the entire district. And there's a dad I remember, he talked to me a lot when the field was grass. And I was fairly new to the board, but I learned from Mr. Martini, our business director, that we had sprinkler heads in the grass field that were 30 years old and we couldn't get parts. So when he was there at the game, he said, "Gail, isn't it nice not worrying about those sprinkler heads?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it is." So it was a fun night. We did get rain, but we won. And if anybody wants to look at this, it's just an amazing book about all of our wonderful players and coaching staff. This melted my heart. So you know me, I bring along all my stuff so you can see it if nobody has. But our students raised money for just an amazing special teacher of ours. And I mean, I just about cried when I read this, that our students raised $13,500. And Miss Marshall, I have to say, she knew and understood relationships before anybody was even talking about them. She was my daughter's math teacher, and she just instilled in my daughter positivity, a sense of self-esteem. She just is an amazing lady. And so I'm just so proud of our students raising money that they gave to her. And if any of you missed seeing Mr., he's got his head shaved in here. Principal Caldwell, thanks, Steve. Principal Caldwell, and you know, I saw him somewhere with his head shaved, and I didn't know that that's how it happened. So anyway, he looks actually very unique with his head shaved when you're used to something.
Well, I'd like to say it's a great hairstyle.
Well, yeah, if you're used, I'm just not used to seeing him that way. So anyway, I just want to quickly draw attention to this positive happening about the Link Group. They got a grant. It's not loading, so I hope I can remember. They got a grant from Special Olympics Minnesota for a program called So Fit. And it's got really unique components. I mean, it just is an amazing addition to our LINK program, because we know in Forest Lake, we embrace everyone and help everyone in our district as to the best of our abilities. So this is a great new program for them. And that concludes my report.
Member Tyson, anyone else? I would like to say I was at homecoming and I really, it was wet. I was happy to have my hunting jacket on, because it's waterproof. But it is just amazing to be there and to see the participation rate that has increased significantly with the program changes and the facility changes. So anytime we're getting more of those student athletes out, that's always such a great thing to see. And it's always nice to see the community come together and the politics of the day fade away and everybody sit down and enjoy a good night of camaraderie around our Forest Lake Rangers. So, anybody else? All right, we'll move on. On to reports, workshops, and conferences. Anyone? I don't think there were any. We'll move to 916, Member Kettle.
For Northeast Metro 916, the board of Northeast Metro met on Wednesday, September 28th for a board retreat. A technology presentation was included a makerspace activity. Each board member, including me, had to make their name with a 3-doodler start and a filament, which is like a glue gun with a filament that comes out, and we had to make our name up just to show what makerspace is and what an activity of makerspace. Discuss the development of board goals and board self-evaluation for the first time ever. They have not had either one of those, and we're moving forward with that. We also discussed board committees and assignments. Shania Walker, who's the DEI manager, did a fall 2022 equity update, and 916 had received a $150,000 non-exclusionary discipline training and support grant from MDE, which she reviewed. She's also reviewed the 2022 and 2023 benchmarks for Northeast Metro's main goal of systematically removing barriers to student access. And then the board met last night on Wednesday, October 5th at the Northeast Metro District office for a regular board meeting. At the board meeting, there was a presentation and discussion again regarding makerspace in more detail, because that's a new activity that they're doing in the district. Superintendent, and I can get you more information on that. Superintendent Bo did an update which included that 916 will host a standard response protocol training for attendees with member districts, including us, on November 29th at Vadnais Heights Commons. The board had an update on the status of teacher and EA shortages, which is still running at least 85 positions short or more. And the problem for us, in the way it comes back and reflects on our district, is the impact on the current wait list for all member districts of Northeast Metro. And so the superintendents and a number of other people got together, directors within Northeast Metro got together, and they're talking about ways to redo everything to try to get the wait list redone. So they're looking at every possible way to get kids moving. There are stories about kids who have been there since last winter that still can't get into school or still on the wait list just because they don't have the people. It's not building capacity, it's they don't have enough people. They're really recruiting and trying to hold on to who they have. And that's my report on 916.
Buildings and grounds, also Member Kettle.
I was unable to attend.
Sounds good. I was not there either because I was in the staff welfare committee. So I guess we won't have to report on buildings and grounds. City of Forest Lake, Member Lutner is absent. Communications committee, Member Apio?
Yeah, the communications committee, we kind of took a look back over the previous year and talked about how we were going to structure the meetings coming up for this year. And generally we will take like different types of media and kind of focus a meeting around that. And so that was our agenda, just kind of figure out where we wanted to go this year.
Curriculum, instruction, and equity, Member Tyson.
Yes, we had an update on the secondary instructional framework development from Director of Teaching and Learning, J.P. Jacobson. We also got to hear how the new English language arts rollout went on Benchmark Advanced. All of the materials were there, all the different, I think it was 1st through 6th, that we could interact with. We also learned that there's 20 take-home books that go with the kindergarten, 1st through 6th grade that they can take home with them as well. And I think that I can't read my writing. What was it about 2025 and the new standards implementation, JP?
That's when the new.
That's what.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one. So we're awfully proud of this benchmark advance because our old English language arts was pretty antiquated. So we're glad to have that, and so far it's going great. I'm very proud of that. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Member Tyson. Equity in our schools, Member Rayfield.
Yeah. So National Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated from September 15th to October 15th to highlight the contributions of Hispanic Americans. And our students of Hispanic or Latinx heritage are the third largest cultural, racial, demographic group in Forest Lake area schools. To support students and families, Forest Lake area schools parent and resident Alina Hilberg serves as a cultural liaison working with our Hispanic and Latinx students and families. A document containing Hispanic and Latinx lesson resources, events, and information is being sent to all staff, and the new instructional review process has been working towards updating curricular resources to represent all our students. Last week, the Forest Lake Area Schools Equity Steering Team had its first meeting of the year. I was at that, and the steering team will be looking carefully at how the system can create safe, welcoming school environments for each student. And the next steering team committee, our team meeting will be Tuesday, October 25th at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Member Rayfield. We'll move to Finance Committee, Member Corcoran.
We talked about the audit status for fiscal year 22, kind of the time frame of all the audits that are coming up. We talked about the budget status, the run rate over the past few years, similar amounts. We also looked at property tax levy, and we also looked at the legislative update, which there'll be no special session, which is a disappointment. And yeah, that was our report.
Thank you. Member Corcoran. We'll move to Policy Committee, Member Kettle.
I was unable
that's
to
right.
attend that
I
meeting.
apologize. Member Landstrom is absent. Staff Welfare Committee, Member Rayfield.
Yes. Staff welfare, we had a discussion relating to the use of CBD and how we wanted to structure that into, or deal with that in policy. I think the policy committee also looked at that. We looked at student achievement data, kind of trying to figure out, you know, how our students are doing. And we had a legislative update, which Member Corcoran just talked about. And we had an enrollment update.
Member Rayfield. That will move to the Superintendent Report, Dr. Massey.
Thank you. I'm going to quickly begin with, if I may, a quick correction from Member Kettle. Our community closet is booming. Huge success that our kids are doing. And the donations are coming primarily from staff. If we take donations from the community, we'll need 5 more rooms. So I would encourage the community to bring their donations to the local thrift stores and Goodwill and those kind of things. So thank you for the boost.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, thank you. We got into this room and it was about 50 degrees. It's about 72 and comfortable now. Maybe you saw Matt Green come in. So just a quick nod to Matt Green. He's our district mechanic who stopped in and probably came from home to take care of it.
Oh, that's
Very nice.
so
Just a
kind.
great attaboy to Matt for
We will.
it just speaks to the dedication of so many of their staff. I'd like to echo the comments on Jason Miller's leadership at the middle school. We saw evident here tonight the leadership that he has provided from July 1, now moving forward, carrying on with the great work that has been going on there over the years. So Jason, thank you for your incredible leadership there. Jason mentioned this, and I just want to echo the start of the school year, not just at the middle school, but across the district. Truly does now, in our 5th week of the school year, I think I can say this. It feels like there has been a shift toward normalcy. Normal is full of ups and downs and challenges. We know that. We can do that one. Last year was a challenge beyond anything we've ever experienced. We feel like we're in a better place in many of our schools. Kids are engaged, staff are just feeling like we've shifted into a more normal space, that we are talented and skillful and prepared to deal with. So it's an exciting time in the district in so many ways, and many of you already hit on many of those different pieces. About this time last year, I was fortunate to be part of a trade mission to the UK and Finland. As part of that trade mission, I met leaders, the president at Oulu University and teacher training program. They are now in Minneapolis doing their own visit in the United States. I'm hosting a roundtable discussion with the president of that university and one of their executive directors in charge of their teacher training program. Tomorrow at 9:30, we'll do a tour of the high school. I'll take them out to the school forest at Linwood and show them learning in action out there as well as the school forest. So really excited to host that visit tomorrow. The superintendent's coming from across the metro to be part of that as well. It's already been touched on. Member Tyson touched on this. The implementation of Benchmark Advanced is the largest curriculum adoption we've ever had in this district. It's the culmination of several years of curriculum development, instructional development, and review. Coordinators Becky Haven and Kim Weiss have been instrumental in that work, along with our other coordinators, our lead coaches. I mention them because they're all part of the 2018 referendum that this community supported that allowed us to rebuild teaching and learning. The final piece of that was the curriculum adoption and literacy for the literacy review work. And it is a powerful program, but I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the enormous lift that is for our teachers. Learning a new curriculum is a big challenge. It's exciting to see their engagement and their effort, but it is monumental, and it will be making a difference. I am fully confident in the impact that that's going to have on the student life. Powerful. So again, thanks for all the work going on across the district under JP's leadership in that area. I'm going to take a little bit of time and give the board, and to that extent the community, an update on transportation. An ongoing challenge for us. Member Kettle talked about the labor challenges at 916. We have similar challenges. All of our teaching positions are filled. Para positions can be a challenge. Custodial positions are a challenge. We know the challenge in our bus driver staff situation as well. We have 79 bus routes every day serving the district. They have an elementary, or we start with a secondary route, and they turn around and do a second tier elementary route. 79 total routes. We have 10 routes every day uncovered, because we don't have a permanent bus driver. So we have substitutes, John Gray drives, our supervisor drives every day, office staff mechanics drive every day, and we still have 3 to 4, sometimes 5 bus routes uncovered. We have recruited at football games, homecoming, Facebook, Indeed, every social media site we can get our hands on, recruiting bus drivers. Fortunately, we have 5 drivers in training, but for every driver we get through training and license, they're replacing a driver who, because we employ an older driver fleet and they're amazing, but life happens, right? They're retired and they want to go do what they retired to do, or they have medical situations. So we get replacement drivers, but we're not making headway on filling uncovered routes because we're covering routes that become open even though at the start of the year. I've given John Gray, our supervisor of transportation, the task of eliminating a number of routes, redrawing our system to eliminate a number of routes and explore walk zones so that we can cover all of our routes. That is not to say that we are going to cut routes, or it's not to say that we're going to create walk zones, but we need to look at that. We know that canceling 3, 4, 5 routes a day is not sustainable for families. It's a real burden. So we are looking at all options to creatively cover our transportation. I get calls from the community, parents especially, every week saying, we should contract our busing. And we're doing everything we can not to do that, because we know we're best when our community drives our kids. But we need to have, and currently, all options are on the table to explore so that we can provide transportation for our families. So that's the quick update with transportation. It's something that we spend a lot of time on, trying to solve that challenge that is facing us due to the really tight labor market. That concludes my report. I'll certainly take any questions.
Questions?
I just wanted to mention that, when you're establishing or looking at walk zones, the city worked on safe routes to school. I mean, over a number of years that I've been on the board, and so now we definitely have sidewalks that connect, and we've got, the pathways over 61, and it just seems like if we are relooking at that and revisiting that it might seem doable in some areas because of the safe routes to school and how we have these connections with sidewalks.
Yeah, there are sidewalks now built throughout the Forest Lake community due to those grants. That would certainly be an asset if we needed to go in that direction.
And I'd just like to remind, the public that we actually years ago did a study where we compared our bus system to privatized ones, and we got by much cheaper with much higher satisfaction of our customers, our parents and our students. And, we're struggling to hire people, but we've got a great bus system, and we'd be paying a lot more if we ever even thought of privatizing.
Yeah, you're right.
With the same problems.
Right, yeah, and potentially so, that's right. But I do think it's prudent that we look at everything, and then we can explore whether or not any of those are viable or the direction we want to go as a district. That's not to take anything away from the amazing drivers and their commitment and the work that our entire team over there does every day.
I remember Director Martini saying, once you sell your buses, you're sunk. You're kind of stuck, permanently outsourced. So we have to remember that, because we did look at all that, and it was a big discussion for a long time. And I said they might come in cheaper at the beginning, but then you have no control of when they start raising their costs, you're stuck. And so we have more control of our own bus fleet and our own expense. Once you outsource, you lose all control. So we have to remember all that.
I just want to back up what Member Raphael said, that I don't know that solves the issue anyway, the problem. I mean, the problem is we don't have enough drivers. And I've seen competitive signs in our town for those bus companies that
And bus
we would go
companies
to.
face the same
They're having
challenge
the same
that
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that when you privatize like that, there's only one spot the money comes from, right? You got a company now that needs to make a profit. The buses cost the same, the fuel costs the same, the maintenance costs the same. The only thing they can do is chisel it away from labor, and if we're able to provide it cheaper currently, I'd much rather see that we pay fair wages and benefits than outsource it so somebody can profit.
Excellent.
Very good.
Nothing further? We'll move on. We have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move to action items. A1, donations.
Donate, thank you. Donations this month totaled, I'm having a hard time reading my phone screen because my computer's not working, but as I think I got it right, $39,867.34 were donated this month alone. And that came from a total of 6 total donations, which I find quite incredible. 6 of them totaled $39,867.34. $19,244 came from the Forest Lake football boosters. $6,406.10 came from the Red Line Club. $6,348.22 came from the volleyball boosters. $5,103.46 came from the football boosters. $2,725 came from the booster club for the dance team. And $40 was provided by Target Corporation for Lino Lake STEM School for general use. So again, the total was $39,867.34. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 831 that the school board accept with appreciation these donations and permit their uses designated by their donors.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion? I'd like to say that I missed it in my positive happenings, but this reminded me the dance team did a great job out there at homecoming too.
Yes.
So they deserve just as much recognition. They did a great job.
I concur.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Hi.
Motion passes. We'll move on to 8.2, superintendent contract renewal. With that, we have the superintendent's agreement. This year, there was a 3-year agreement. There was no substantive language changes. There was just one sentence of clarification that did not change the meaning of the agreement in any way. And it represents a 2%, and 2.5% increase, which averaged out over the entire tenure of the superintendent's tenure works out to less than just under 1.5% increase average per year. And with that, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and second, discussion?
Yeah, I thought we had a good negotiation. We really appreciate the work that our superintendent has done. We're happy that he's staying on. And, you know, after we had come to an agreement, I bet we spent 40 minutes talking about all the great things that this district has gone through. So, yeah, we really appreciate the work and are really excited about this contract.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, we had an excellent negotiation, and I think that, you know, our district has gone through slim times. We reflected on that too. We've been cut to the bone in many areas, and that affects our wages. So I'm really excited about this contract as well, and I'm very, after the pandemic and all we've been through and the leadership shown, it's just great to have that leadership in place still. So I'm excited about this contract too.
As I said earlier, we moved here like 30 years ago this year, and so I have seen a number of superintendents, and I have 3 kids, so I've seen a number of superintendents work at this position. Number 1. Number 2, with Northeast Metro, we had to do a superintendent search because we lost a superintendent that was there. And during that search, and just seeing and I was on the team that interviews, seeing the candidates come in and do their interviews, I believe that we have one of the best superintendents out there. And I'm so happy with you here, and I'm glad that we could get this contract done and that plan to stay.
Yes, I'm the last one. No, I just want to thank Dr. Massey for all his hard work, and I'm thankful he's going to stay with us for another 3 years. And we know so many more, but we've been through a lot the last couple of years, and your devotion and dedication and all the time you've spent and your team is to be commended. I mean, you've gone through a really rough time, and I don't know where we'd be without you. So I'm really thankful for your dedication and bringing our district up to the level that our students and our community deserves. So, and your outreach within all the areas in Forest Lake area schools, your dedication to each and every community is just amazing. And I don't think people realize all the time and energy that takes, traveling, going to each and every school, every community, and building that relationship. So I want to thank you for all your hard work.
One thing I did want to say is that we said we don't have a lot of changes in the wording of this contract, and I just wanted to say that one of the reasons for that is that over the last 10 years, we've made a real effort to clean up this contract and take out the spurious stuff and the stuff that that adds up too much over time, and so a lot of people have been involved with really cleaning up this contract. And so I think today we've got a really nice contract. It's nice and clean. It says what it needs to, and it's easy to come to an agreement on because it's not a bunch of wording that nobody can understand. We We tried to put it into much clearer text, easier to understand. So yeah, so thank you to all the people that over the years have kind of worked towards that, because the needs today, it's easy to get this stuff done.
Well, I want to echo those sentiments, and I want to say, you know, when you think back over the 10-year, think about the leadership during COVID, where we were prepared day one when the governor made his announcement and where we were going to move, and to have the foresight to say, hey, we're going to put this plan together so that we're ready to go should this happen, instead of waiting for it to happen and then reacting weeks later, as many other districts did. And then the leadership with our bargaining groups, so that when we moved to those plans, we included those folks and made sure that we transitioned smoothly with our teachers and our other bargaining groups, and everybody kind of knew what was going on. And so kudos to your team and yourself for that leadership. There's so many things that could go on, our strategic plan, leadership there, and the engagement with the community. A significant increase in the amount of interaction with the community and bringing them in and getting their thoughts on every move that we do. And it really does, you know, as a board member, make our job easier to have somebody in your position that is really thinking out in advance. And sometimes having plans for things that don't come to fruition is a lot of work. But when it does come to fruition, it's nice to be able to say, hey, we're ready for this and we have a plan. So I want to thank you for all of your work, and I think this contract represents exactly what's needed. So.
I just want to add one thing. Our superintendent just holds our strategic plan in the highest of regard. And this was put together with community input, parent input, staff, administrators, principals, everybody has had input. And this is our roadmap. And we do offer world-class education in Forest Lake area schools. And it's because we follow this, and it's because of our leadership. It's very important to have research, have best practices. We are always very engaged with what is the best way to advance our academic achievement. So, you know, we know things took a dip. I mean, as everybody did in the state and in the nation. So I just have so much confidence that we will be just shining stars and moving up with the expertise of our teachers and the leadership from our superintendent. So thank you for staying for another 3 years and maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back leading the facilities team, you know, I mean, there's just so much. So I really appreciate it, and I think great job. I don't say that often enough, especially in the public meetings. So great job. Thank you. Any further discussion? With that, Member Clerk, would you please take a roll call?
Member Tyson votes aye. Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Ketto?
Aye.
Member Landstrom's absent. Member Luthner's absent. Member Peterson?
Aye.
And Member Rayfield?
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, motion passes. We will move on to new business. First reading, mandated reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults, policy 414. Dr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this policy is to make clear the statutory requirements of school personnel to report suspected maltreatment of vulnerable adults. This is a first reading, so no action necessary tonight. You'll see a lot of language that is stricken from this policy, and then new language. It all relates to MSBA recommended new definitions or clarified definitions that drive through this policy. So, and especially as it relates to the definition of what constitutes abuse. So those are the significant changes, or really the only changes. You can also see the MSBA model policy references on the last page as well.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. We'll move on to 9.2, first reading, family and medical leave policy 428.
The purpose of this policy is to provide for family and medical leave to school district employees in accordance with the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993 and also with parenting leave under state law. This policy needs to be reviewed at least annually for compliance with state and federal law. You'll see a reference on remuneration in reference to the United States Code. On the first page, some clarifying language definitions on the third page, language related to determining a 12-month timeline for military leave, And those are the most substantial changes in this policy.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. We will move on to 9.3, first reading mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse policy 522.
The purpose of this policy is to make clear the statutory requirements of school personnel to report suspected child neglect or physical or sexual abuse. Really no material changes in this policy, only definition clarifications and rearrangement of some of the sections.
That will move on to 9.4, the first reading, Media Arts 2, Director Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair Peterson, Dr. Massey, members of the board. Before I get to 9.2, I just want to, again, acknowledge a lot of the work that Principal Miller talked about earlier. Our middle level program is really a place for our teenagers in this community find new levels of independence and through that process discover who they are, what their interests lie, where their interests lie. And our program at the middle level really should support that in every way possible. And when we went through the envisioning process around a middle school program several years ago, our teachers really settled that, acknowledged that we should be doing two things, and two things well. We should be preparing our community's youth for careers moving into the future, and we should help them develop all the skills and dispositions that they would need to live a healthy life beyond their careers. And I think what you're going to find in the continued course development that we're going to present here yet tonight is that you're going to see a lot of tenets there. All of these courses, by and large, connect with the career pathway guide that we have at the high school and future careers going forward. Again, I'll bring you back to our discussion last year, almost at this time, in that we looked at the future of careers through the Bureau of Labor Statistics to determine where our careers are taking us and where they're going, and designing educational opportunities for kids pointing toward those. I think I hope you also hear as we talk through these courses is a lot of what Principal Miller talked about, is students as creators, students as designers, iterators, solving problems, high levels of choice, not consumers of information. We have information in our pockets or in laptops, but what can we do with that information? And a lot of transferable, future relevant technical skills and dispositions. In the first course that Chair Peterson already mentioned here on agenda item 9.4 is our Media Arts Course 2. That is a quarter-length course that fills out our career pathway, our gateway experiences at the middle level. It builds off of Media Arts 1, a course that's happening already when you saw the students leaning over the iPads and working on those. It's a course really developed around designing animation to convey a story. It's around experimental design. If you've ever been to a trade show or walked into an Apple store and the architects or the designers of those booths or that store or architecture want to convey a feeling to the person who's walking up. And that's what this course is really designing, is what does that look like through experiential design? And just leveraging additional digital art tools to create experiences for kids. So the Media Arts course is a quarter-length course that's designed around that.
We'll move to 9.5, first reading Visual Arts 2.
Yeah, so in our new middle school model, students are required to take 2, but it'd be offered 3 different arts classes. In 7th grade and 8th grade, media arts is a requirement. Then students can take either a music, an instrumental, band, or orchestra, choir, or they can take visual arts. And so Visual Arts 2 is the continuation of Visual Arts 1 that students can take as an opportunity in 7th grade. And again, it's acknowledging that creativity, appreciation of art, being part of a team, it's artistic design. Those are really important elements to life and enjoying art. And so this visual arts course is a second course that students can take on a semester basis if they in the 8th grade.
We'll move to 9.6, first reading, computers, codes, and games.
This is an elective business course, a course now where students are actually creating animations through coding. It's a team building course. It starts with a team building experience. We acknowledge that in a business world, we often have to work with others, and we have to leverage others, and we have to have some levels of interdependence. So it's teaching those team building experiences. It's building off of a couple of business courses that we've had in the past around computer science and video game design to use coding to design gaming experiences. In this course, what is also new and unique is app development. So students identifying a problem or opportunity and then developing an app to potentially solve that problem. And so they would have an opportunity to do that in the 8th grade.
9.7, first reading, exploring power and energy.
In 7th grade, students can take a course in exploring industrial technology. This is an 8th grade elective, one of 2 8th grade electives in that particular area. This one takes students through a pre-engineering pathway, leading into the pre-engineering or engineering courses that we have in the high school. This is where we have a really quality program around in English and in science and in math and in social studies. This is where students can continue to make math happen. And they can continue to leverage what they learn in science through a lab-based experience, learning about simple machines, a lot of the technology that you can use to create different products in engineering or in science. And that's what this course is about, learning a lot about electricity along the way as well.
Now move to 9.8. First reading, manufacturing and construction technology.
So also building off of that 7th grade experience is an opportunity for students to go into the trades. So this is our trades end of the course, where students learn, again, how to use today's tools to design something using CAD, CAD-like tools, and then actually build that. Or in some cases, use automation to create it using some technology. We've got a lot of courses or students that go into automation-like fields. This is an opportunity for them to begin to to dabble in that when in the 8th grade, and then moving into our courses in the 9th grade and beyond.
9.9, first reading, middle school agri-science.
We have an agricultural or agri-science experience in the 7th grade. This would be an elective students for those who want to continue to go deeper in that. We have a huge company in our backyard, Land O'Lakes. It's hiring a lot of people in this area. Food sciences is an incredibly growing career area. And in this course, students get to continue to learn about animal, plant, natural resources, and food sciences. And then an opportunity at the end of the course where they can put that learning on display by being part of a fair. And so this would be an 8th grade course, a semester-based course that would build off of what they have in 7th grade.
First reading, 9.10, foods and nutrition.
This is a course that really is around how students understand food sciences in the kitchen, and in terms of both safety and food prep, but also how we can manipulate or modify recipes based on dietary needs or preferences. This could be a course where a student might be thinking about going into culinary science and be able to take this course in the 8th grade. This is also a course that traditionally has been incredibly popular in its previous design. So we anticipate a lot of students wanting to continue to do this, whether they go into culinary fields or not, but or whether they just like to dabble in their own kitchen.
9.11, first reading, introduction to first aid, safety, and prevention.
So we have had for a long time students, whether in Scouts or through community ed, go into safety-related courses when at the middle level. We also know that we have a really, kind of a unique growing health sciences department at the high school. And students can take Healthy You and Beyond, which is a health course hybrid with health sciences. But if a student wants to continue to learn more about life safety or personal safety, either for themselves or to help others, or they see themselves potentially going into a medical-like career, this would be a course that they could take. And our hope here is that we continue to bolster the skills or raise the level of skill and knowledge that students have as they leave 8th grade, going into health sciences, medical career-like related courses or across the street at our high school.
Moving to 9-12, first reading Fitness for Life.
This is a course for students that really like to move. In the 8th grade, going into next year's physical education will be a semester course. But if we have students that want to continue to stay active and fill out their year doing so, they could take this course. And this is a course, when we talk about careers or just life skills, is really built around that. If I wanted to learn about personal fitness for me, and what are the different ways that I can do that, there's many different types of classes that you can take at the Y or at different health clubs, or you can do it at home. And this course really starts to touch on all those. Or if I just want to continue to learn how to develop my body through strength training, we could see a lot of athletes during the off season wanting to take this course as they get ready for high school athletics. And again, this would be a course that we think that a lot of 8th graders will like to take if they want to stay moving and active throughout the year.
9-13, first reading 7th grade band.
These next two courses are very small changes that we wanted to make sure that we mentioned here at the board level, because it'll involve some changes in our course registration. If I take you back to what I said at the beginning, in 7th grade, music is an every other day experience. And a few years ago, we brought to the board a new course where students could take choir and an instrument, either choir and band or choir and orchestra. And they would generally move between those two courses when the courses were every day, and they would do one every other day. But now that that music is every other day in 7th grade, that would really be a difficult lift for students. So we no longer offer that in 7th grade, but we want to continue to offer that in 8th grade, during which time if a student takes music in 8th grade, that's an everyday all year course. So students, and it's a very small pocket of students that do this. These are very gifted, musically passionate music students. And we're seeing it kind of continue to grow a little bit over time, that take both choir and band or choir and orchestra. So that's a course that we still offer in 8th grade, and unfortunately isn't something that we could sustain in 7th, but in 8th grade we can. And the teachers in this course wanted to make sure that we touched on the notion that that they know that if you are not in one of those in 7th grade, you still, through conversation with your teacher or through teacher recommendation, demonstrating certain skills, that you can continue to do that. So the first one here is choir, and I think choir and band. So students can take choir and band in 8th grade. The one also small change here is this expectation that we convey that we encourage students to make it to as many of the concerts in the evening as possible, but these are busy students, and if you're in both, that's essentially double the number of performances that you might be. You don't necessarily have to be in every one of them.
Okay. I think you kind of wrapped the last four together, but
Yeah.
we'll say them anyway, so they're on the record. We had the first reading of 7th grade orchestra. And if you have anything additional to add, feel free to interrupt.
Nope.
Then we had the first reading of choir 8, band 8. And we had the first reading choir 8, orchestra 8. Any questions, Director Jacobson? I just want to say I'm excited about the new courses. And there's been a lot of discussion in the community about curriculum, and attached to the agenda is a more in-depth description for those who want to read it online. And if they have questions, of course, they should feel free to reach out. With that, we have nothing further on tonight's agenda except reviewing the upcoming calendar dates. We have a great football game tomorrow night. I hope the community makes it, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by aye.
Aye.
Meeting's